From utterly ridiculous gimmicks that seemingly had to hit a ceiling down the road, to returning legends that had to try and meet some pretty high expectations. These are those times AEW and its gifted stars eventually smashed it in a way many initially didn't imagine was possible. Gareth here from What Culture Wrestling, and here are 10 AEW success stories absolutely nobody saw coming. Number 10, The Acclaimed. When the clearly charismatic twosome known as Anthony Bowens and Max Caster were officially made All Elite back in November 2020, the team were joining an absolutely stacked AEW tag division. And while their first big Dynamite bout opposite company EVP's The Young Bucks was a promising start, it did still feel like the units were a while away from sitting as two of the faces of the company. But fast forward just under 2 years, the Scissoring Lads were AEW World Tag Team Champions and arguably the most popular group in the industry at the time of Grand Slam 2022. The adding of daddy-ass Billy Gunn to the mix has also grown into another unexpected success. With the trio displaying a level of chemistry and ability to explode a crowd, few currently plying their trade in the land of All Elite can match. Yet it's the sheer speed in which they've grown into one of the most important parts of the AEW party that has caught many pleasantly off guard. Number 9, Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe's eventual arrival in AEW wasn't quite as well received as it perhaps would have been had it gone down at the time of the company's creation. Despite being one of the most respected and intimidating souls ever to grace a squared circle, the Samoan submission machine just wasn't quite clicking in the way he once did as a bona fide killer in between the ropes. In truth, it looked as though Joe's best days as an in-ring performer were behind him. But then the former TNA and Ring of Honor World Champion dethroned Wardlow at Full Gear 2022, and kick-started a shockingly fun run that nobody really saw coming heading into that November pay-per-view. Vicious battles with Darby Allin and his aforementioned longtime Hoss rival cemented Joe's reign as the undisputed king of television, holding both the TNT and Ring of Honor TV championships as one of the greatest unanticipated AEW success stories of recent times. And with the big lad now seemingly being lined up for a potential battle with another one of his historic rivals in the returning CM Punk, it looks as though a resurgent Joe could further prove his doubters wrong in the not too distant future. Number 8, The Dark Order. After making their All Elite debuts at Double or Nothing 2019, Evil Uno and Stu Grayson would eventually join forces with the likes of John Silver and Alex Reynolds. However, instead of striking fear into the hearts of the roster and those watching on around the world, the Dark Order and their creepers unintentionally had fans giggling at the silly faction and their horrendous worked punches. A serious change was needed to salvage what was increasingly feeling like another failed All Elite project. And said adjustment finally arrived in March 2020 as Mr. Brody Lee was ultimately revealed as the mysterious Exalted One, managing to combine the surreal humor that this collection of oddballs naturally exuded with a genuine sense of dread as the terrifying Lee went about manipulating and bulldozing his way up the rankings. The Dark Order went from laughingstock to genuinely captivating and entertaining squad in a matter of months. And while the group haven't felt quite as consistently hot in the time since Brody Lee's tragic passing in late 2020, the fact the Dark Order are still a thing after such a turbulent start is a surprising success in and of itself. What's been your favourite moment that made you want to join the Dark Order? Well, let me know in the comments down below, folks. Number 7, 2.0. If you'd ever had the pleasure of taking in an Ever-Rise match or promo explosion during their days on NXT, you likely already knew that Matt Menard and Angelo Parker could be relied on for some hilarious shenanigans in the time before they made their All Elite debuts in August 2021. What did probably come as a bit of a surprise though, was just how quickly the team were able to consistently wiggle their way onto AEW programming after said arrival. And not just that, the two actually ended up producing instant gold in matches against the likes of Jon Moxley, Eddie Kingston, Sting, and Darby Allin within their first month as All Elite regulars. Surely that would be as good as it got for two comical jobbers who WWE clearly felt weren't worth investing in, right? But no, 2.0 followed up that surprisingly high-profile initial spell by joining forces with Chris Jericho and his Appreciation Society, with both effortlessly charismatic sports entertainers then proceeding to pop folks 1 minute with their hard nipples and ridiculous get-ups, and putting it all on the line in blood and guts wars the next. Simply put, Daddy Magic and Cool Hand Ange have gone on to become one of the biggest unlikely hits in AEW history. Number 6, Eddie Kingston. After spending the majority of his career making a name for himself on the independent scene, it was starting to feel as though Eddie Kingston's chances of making a genuine splash on national television were slipping away. But then something magical happened on the night of July 22nd, 2020. Stepping up as TNT champion Cody Rhodes' latest challenger, the Mad King unleashed promo fire before taking it to the American Nightmare. That no disqualification brawl and unfiltered words on the mic gave many their first glimpse at the Raw anti-hero. And this fiery arrival was enough to convince Tony Khan to offer the independent veteran a contract. It was clear that Kingston had a powerful connection with the All Elite faithful from the get-go. But even the passionate badass's biggest supporters likely still had doubts whether the combustible Kingston could properly establish himself as a real player for TK's company. After challenging for AEW World Championship gold, warring with everyone from Bryan Danielson to CM Punk, and putting on a more recent masterpiece against longtime rival Claudio Castagnoli in Khan's revamped Ring of Honor though, Kingston has more than earned the title of All Elite success story. Number 5, Jeff Jarrett. After parting ways with WWE once again in August 2022, the TNA founder made his shocking AEW debut in November, aligning with Jay Lethal, Satnam Singh and Sanjay Dutt after smashing Darby Allin in the head with a guitar naturally. Initially, Jeff Jarrett's arrival had many worried about the concept of the former NWA and TNA World Champion, stealing the spotlight away from the likes of the pillar he'd pulverized on his first night as an All Elite performer. However, in the time since that impactful first appearance, Jarrett has actually managed to carve out a routinely entertaining place for himself on the AEW product. Whether teaming alongside Lethal and the rest of the gang in glorious party tag bouts, or threatening to derail Orange Cassidy's run as AEW International Champion, the last Outlaw is quite possibly in the middle of the most enjoyable spell of his career at this moment in time. Number 4, the House of Black. During the latter half of 2022, it was looking like the once intriguing House of Black had ran its course in the land of All Elite. Both Malachi Black and Buddy Matthews' AEW futures appeared uncertain, and the hit and miss faction in general hadn't been seen on the likes of Dynamite and Rampage for months in the wake of their Grand Slam fight with Darby Allin and Sting. But November finally saw the reemergence of Black, Matthews, Brody King and Julia Hart, with the terrifying group targeting the Best Friends and the Factory during their crowd-popping return. What once looked like the disappointing end ultimately grew into a new beginning for this corrupted unit, as the trio of lads went about unleashing glorious hell during their comeback performances in between the ropes, en route to lifting Trios Gold at Revolution 2023. Number 3, Orange Cassidy. An apparent layabout ultimately becoming one of AEW's most popular and reliable stars in the coming years initially seemed rather unlikely back in 2019. Orange Cassidy's half-assed mind games and sudden bursts of breathless offense were fun, sure, but could this shtick really fire freshly squeezed up the car to the point of being seen as a genuine force to be reckoned with in Tony Khan's promotion? The answer to that question has become increasingly clearer by the year, with OC more than holding his own in AEW World Championship programs, and even managing to turn the All-Atlantic turned International Championship into one of the most sought-after prizes in the business. Even the aforementioned Le Champion openly admitted that he originally thought his eventual rival's gimmick sucked. But as with many of Cassidy's other doubters over the years, Jericho soon realized AEW were onto something with this laid-back lad, and joined the rest of the world in getting behind a truly unique personality that keeps defying expectations with every passing year. Number 2, CM Punk returns. For a time, it looked as though the best in the world's days in the wrestling business were very much done. Punk's horrendous time as part of the WWE machine had left scars that had seemingly still not entirely healed, and even the Chip Magnet's appearances on WWE backstage didn't feel as though they were paving the way for any real sort of in-ring comeback. Seeing Punk finally strut down a wrestling ramp and cut a promo in the middle of a ring for the first time in 7 years then was about as unbelievable and surreal a moment as it gets. But even that long-awaited AEW first dance brought with it questions over whether Punk could deliver the sort of numbers needed to justify his no doubt monster deal with TK's promotion. Could he also go with the best this modern generation had to offer after such a long time away from the spotlight? Within one of the most captivating years in modern wrestling history, Punk answered all of the above with deft performances inside of the squared circle and out of it, along with leading the company to some of its most successful ratings and pay-per-view numbers to date. Punk didn't just match expectations and silence his few doubters, he massively helped take AEW AEW to a level most didn't anticipate the company reaching within its first 3 years. And you wouldn't bet against the Brawl-Out participant doing the same thing again in the coming months. Number 1, All In 2023. When AEW announced they'd be finally heading across the pond to treat European fans to the All Elite experience in London at some point in 2023, most anticipated the company putting on a super show within Fulham's Craven Cottage. After all, that stadium was the home ground of the football club owned by Khan's father. But in one of the biggest All Elite shocks of recent times, not only did TK opt to bring his promotion to Wembley instead of Fulham, he also decided to book the 90,000-seater stadium rather than the 12,500-seat arena. That looks like one hell of a gamble on paper. But within a matter of weeks of the upcoming second ever All-In's tickets going on sale, not only had AEW utterly obliterated their attendance record, they'd actually managed to shift over 60,000 tickets before a single match was even announced for the massive show. Quite simply, what once looked like a gamble too far is now shaping up to be one of the most important and smartest moves in All Elite history. And that's our list of any other AEW success stories absolutely nobody saw coming. Let us know all about them in the comment section right down below, and don't forget to like, share, and click on that subscribe button while you're down there. I've been Gareth from What Culture Wrestling. Thank you for tapping on this particular vid of AEW goodness today. Now go and click on some other What Culture gold and have yourself a jolly good day. Bye bye!